I'm Bart.
And I'm McKenzie.
And this is our story. So I met McKenzie when I first got to ECU, and things really started changing in my life. She started taking me to church again, and God started becoming a part of my life again. It was still at arm's length, and it was still a convenience thing, but He was becoming part of my life again and tugging on me. You know, we dated for a few years while I was finishing college. We got engaged right before I graduated.
We were in Wilmington for our first engagement party, and we were all excited, and we were all hanging out one night, and it was his best friend Scott's birthday, and we parted ways because Scott wanted to go meet up with his girlfriend, and we said we'll meet you later, and we didn't meet him later. And the next morning we got woken up at about 7, and his mom was in hysterics and saying that they can't find Scott. He's in the Cape Fear River. The search was on for him, and we found him about 4 hours before our engagement party started. Then 4 months later, I called Bart one morning really early and had to tell him that my brother had committed suicide. So here we are 3 months out. We've lost a best man and a best friend and a big brother. So we just pressed on through those next few months, planning the wedding, and the wedding came, and
I think it was hard to really try to understand marriage at that time because I was still trying to understand the loss of my best friend, and she had not even had the opportunity to really mourn for her brother. I mean, he was gone, and 3.5 months later we were getting married, and so in that time she tried so hard to focus on getting ready for the wedding that I'll never forget. Just coming home from work, when I did get to come home because I worked so much, and she was so emotional and so upset, and I felt helpless.
We found out we were pregnant with our first son. We went to our first anatomy ultrasound, and immediately we knew something was wrong. He lived for 18 hours. He was born October 8th and lived for 18 hours, and beautiful little boy. It was the worst day of my life.
I rocked my firstborn child until he took his last breath, and that thought was in the back of my mind every day, and going through what we had been through, I was so angry.
We were both really mad at God.
We had this feeling deep down inside we were never going to have a child. We just held our breath for 9 months, and when Eli was born, I think that was a turning point in our life.
As well, I started letting Murray's life be used for the better, helping grieving mothers, helping adverse diagnosis mothers, but it took Eli being born to be able to do that because I was still grieving his loss then too.
And I think we realized that, you know what, not everybody's life is perfect, and it's not just us that's in this battle. And I think a lot of the people that came into our lives at that time had strong faith, and we were able to look at them and go, how can they have the faith that they have after they've been through all they have? They've been through more than we have. We got all in, we started going, we started serving. We joined a small group that transformed our life, and we've only been a part of it for a short time. And we started tithing faithfully like we always should have, and in that period when we didn't. And I think what I've gained from all of that is, you know, we realize there's going to be some serious storms in your life. Nobody is going to go through life and everything's going to be perfect. But the difference in where we are right now and back then is now we've surrounded ourselves and utilized the tools that we need to kind of get through those storms.
That's the biggest takeaway from what all we've come through is just finding that community, that small community that you can lean on.
One of the things that we're talking about doing right now that McKenzie has always had a passion for, and that is really started leaning on my heart recently, is adopting a child. Something was telling McKenzie that she didn't want to be pregnant again. We've had a lot of ups and downs, and we just didn't want to risk it. And so we've been talking a lot about it lately, and we want to adopt a child or children to bring them into this world, to teach them the gospel and give them hope. And bring them into our family and teach them what love and hope is really all about. And so that they'll do the same for their children and their children. And, I know my kids are going to encounter some serious difficulties in their life, but maybe they'll have stronger faith than I had when I was their age, and they'll have that support system that when they do get there, they know exactly who to turn to.